Hello and welcome to another video by Adrian H. Today I'll be reviewing an indicator called a SEIZ. SEIZ is Statistical External and Internal Zones. It's a unique trading view indicator that identifies the most likely high and low zones for each time frame, adjusted dynamically based on price movement relative to the previous interval. Unlike standard tools constrained by TradingView's history and data, SEIZ utilizes over 15 years of analyzed NASDAQ futures data processed externally. It provides clear, high-confidence structure to your chart without noise, lag, or hindsight bias. Also includes a multi-timeframe percentile table with auto-coloring so you can see when multiple timeframes are unlikely to go further and stack confluence on your trade. We can see that over here. So at the moment, you can see all our timeframes are quite red and into the higher percentiles of the highs. So looking at the 1 hour chart for the week, from Monday to Friday, we can see we had a bullish expansion week. This is SEIZ here, so I've got it set to the daily. So each one of these is within the daily candle. And the lighter color here is the internal range, and the darker candle is the external range. And what that means is internal is within the previous daily candle here. So for the bullish days, we can see price just goes into external, internal to external, internal to external, internal manipulation here, down into the median of the 1 hour candle, and then back to external. And now we're continuing up for plausible Monday high of the week here for our current week. So handy for identifying trending markets. So this means no PDLs are getting swept because we're just going into the internal ranges. And we can keep targeting PDHs all the way through. Let's put on our chart information, my drawings. And we'll go into the 5-minute chart and we'll put SEIZ onto the 4 hour. So now it's going to map the 4 hour candles. And so ideally we can use this aligned with our standard strategies. It's going back here. So we have our manipulation here from Friday low, and we go into Monday. These are our 4 hour candles. So Monday, we've got Asia, and we go into the external range here for our 2200 H4. Into London. So London's open low, high close. Open low goes into the 50th percentile of the H4. So internal range into external. And we then have confluence of this is our H1 manipulation. And we're looking at the SD 1.5 for our draw. And for price to continue higher. We then continue for our 6 o'clock H4, more of a consolidation H4, and we come into the external range. What that means is that swept the low of this H4. So it goes into external range, continues higher. Got our 10 o'clock H4, takes the external again, down to the 25th percentile, and then up to the 85th percentile for the high. And we're going into trending So we go into internal, the consolidation one here for the PM session, into the next day, and we expand high. So internal straight away, straight to external. For the H4, we hit 2200, open low, high close. We open low down into the 50th percentile and expand higher to the 50th external percentile. Also following this 20 smooth moving average, this is the 200 down here. We go into London for the next H4 for 2 o'clock open. More of a consolidation H4 as well, up into the 85th percentile, and then it cools off, comes back down to median, 75th. Into New York. And then we have our change in state of delivery here. Consolidation. We sweep the H4, so this is the previous H4 low. We drag that across, we get our manipulation box here, and then we can look for longs after we displaced out of that manipulation zone. As the next H4 opens, and we're bullish, because we're still looking for this SD 1.5, we have our 10 o'clock open, and it's open low into median, into the 75th percentile, and then we expand higher, and we do our standard deviation of this manipulation swing that took out the previous H4, and we're targeting SD 1.5, 2.5, and aligned that with the percentiles of the H4, we can come to a conclusion that we're not going to get much higher here for the H4. And it's very low probability for SD 3.5 to hit. So good take profit point at SD 2.5 here. As we know, only 5% of 4-hour candles have gotten higher than the 95th percentile. So 10 o'clock, open low, high close. TPs are SD 1.5, 2.5. And we come up on our next H4 into the PM session, and we're into consolidation. And moving along, we go to our next day into Asia. We have our 2200 open here, so open low, high close, internal to external. And we push up to the, so we went down into median here, into the 75, just into the 75 percentile there, and then expand higher to the 25th percentile. Into London. So now we're starting again internal to external. We come into internal for London, down to the 85th percentile. We've got the 200 smooth moving average here as well. We get our change in state of delivery here once this goes. We have displacement, and then we come back, and then the next H4 opens. We come down to median, down to the 75th percentile, the 200 smooth moving average, and then we push up. And then we hit, so we have our, so we're looking for entries within here for the open, low, high, close. Within this manipulation zone here, quarter 3 from London, and we're targeting SD 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, and 4.5. And same thing. So as this 4 hours printing, we can see SD 4.5s within that 95 percentile. Oh, excuse me. So if we use our replay tool and we go back to the start of this H4, and wait for SEIZ to load. So we can see now as it opens, we have internal and internal because price hasn't swept the high yet. Once it sweeps the 4-hour high, this will change to external. So if we keep stepping this across, here's our confirmation here now as we come above that SIBI. So like a double confirmation within our manipulation zone from London. We push up and now got SD 1.5 is our first TP. And now we can use the external range that's printing to help with confluence for our next TP point. So we're SD 2.5 is right at median, so we're pretty happy with that. Even if we want to take everything off at SD 2.5 to keep it tight. SD 3.5 is coming into the top of the 75th percentile and 4.5 is up at the top of the 85th percentile. While we're also coming up towards 930. And there we go, it hits the SD 4.5 into the 95th percentile. So we know we've got a high chance now price isn't going to go any higher than this within this 4 hour. Everything on the chart is red. And we want to look for, when looking for positions against trend, we want to look for SD1 or 1.5 for your take profit targets there. So the next H4 opens. So we want to short within that internal zone. It went up into the 50th percentile at open for the open high and down into plausible low close down to SD1 or 1.5. See if it gets to external. Ideally into external to hit SD 1.5. Oops. So now we're into external and we can see we've got the median down here, 25th percentile. And there we go, we hit that SD 1.5 there. Our main TP for when trading against trend. So we have our break here. We want to get in with this move here. Even if we're doing an OTE at the same time. And we can line up our OTE, even 705 here into the 25th percentile. Good entry point there. Have our order block here, which was responsible for this break of structure. So the body closes under here. Good entry point. And looking at that SD 1.5 or SD1 for your TPs. We also have that 200 smooth moving average there. And then yeah, into the PM session afterwards. Just going back out of replay mode. So that was here. So we went into that SD 1.5 and then back to continuation. Come back into Asia. Got our Asia manipulation here. SD levels. Into the internal range, median. Expand up. Didn't even get into internal here, just kept expanding into external. So taking the H4 highs, pushing up to the standard deviation levels, SD 2.5. We open at internal and push up into the 95th percentile, SD 3.5. Manipulation here for New York AM. So we get external, takes the high here, down to external, takes the low. Then we start the trend again. So we have our manipulation for the day here. Get our change in state of delivery. We've had displacement into a 10 o'clock open. So 10 o'clock open low into the internal range, 25th percentile, expands higher. We then get our standard deviation levels here. SD 1.5, reaccumulates, pushes up to SD 2.5, which lines up 85th percentile. So then we look for reaccumulation SD 2.5. Which we get mostly consolidation around the next two H4s here. The same thing, you can expect those H4 lows to hold. Come back to internal to external, internal to external. Taking out the H4 highs. So all the internals are holding, which means none of the 4-hour lows are getting swept. Coming into Friday now. And then we get external, so takes the high here, takes the low. Internal to external consolidation. Manipulation down on Friday PM. Down into the 85th percentile. Continues up, so then we can do our standard deviation level. From there, we've got our change in state of delivery. We've got our ICB here. We're down in the 85th percentile of the external range. It's a nice spot to long. Coming into OTE, or just about discount of the daily range. And expands higher up to finish the day was SD2. And then that just continued here for Sunday. Up to 2200 and up to where we are now. Which we're quite high here. And everything's showing red, so even the 30-minute, 1 hour's on at the 95 percentile. So we can see we're starting to get a bit of a reversal here. And we're also at, did that just tap our all-time high level there? Let's go back to our 1 hour. Yeah. So we've just tapped all-time high and 95th percentile for that 1 hour. Oops. Change that back to the daily. So going back to our daily for a new day. So this is Sunday going into Monday. And then we've got our internal range here. So we're already into the external range now. I've taken out the previous day high already. Which happened here at open. And then we've got our medium price here. We're at all-time high at the moment. Very extended in price on all time frames. So interesting to see if we get a Monday high of the week as well. We can also look at we can turn this to a weekly chart. And let's take a look at that too. See if that comes in as we are Sunday at the moment. Here we go. So this is our weekly. So there is still room to move. So weekly internal. So this is within the previous weekly candle. An internal an weekly external up here. So median being around that 240 mark. And then here we've got still our standard deviations from that previous week, from that Friday into Sunday manipulation. So interesting to see if we come up here into the SD4 4.5 round median and 75th percentile of the weekly. It's a good spot to look for the high of this market maker model for then into a plausible retracement. It's going to be very interesting week to watch. Keen to see how it plays out. Well, I hope that gives you guys a bit of an observation of how SEIZ works and how we can incorporate it into our standard strategies. and just get some extra confluence. I'll put a link down to it in the chat. And yeah, any questions, just pop it in the comments and we'll go from there. Thanks for tuning in. I'll look at doing some more of these weekly reviews with these indicators as well as the weeks go on. Thanks, guys.